What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here is Legitical Response. We cover political news, keep you up to date and keep you informed with everything that the government does, because the government is constantly making moves. They're constantly doing dumb stuff that we don't like. And the corporate press, aka the mainstream narrative machine, is constantly lying to cover up or run cover for the Biden administration. They lie. They have to put out this narrative that anything anti-establishment is evil, folks. Yeah, you got to get away from these anti-establishment people. They're nothing but liars and racists and bigots and all this other stuff. And they trying to purvey this stuff. So they lie about something, right? And then we come to find out that was a lie. So they continue that lie, and it continues to make them look dumber and dumber and dumber. And their ratings are showing this. The corporate press is falling apart. The mainstream narrative machine is pretty much all lies these days. You can't believe hardly anything that they say, anything that comes out of their mouth. And it's like, so what do we do with this information, right? We got the corporate press constantly lying to us. We figure out that they're constantly lying to us. So who the hell do we trust? It's very postmodern, and it's not a very good place that I like to see this country go. You know, we've got people doing stuff like this.
Congresswoman Tlaib,
Fox News. I don't talk to Fox News.
at a rally in your district, people were chanting "Death to America." Do you condemn?
I do not talk to Fox News.
Do you condemn chants of "Death to America"?
I don't talk to people that use racist tropes.
Why can't you just say whether or not you condemn people chanting "Death to America"? Why are you afraid to talk to Fox?
Fox News is not listen, using racist tropes towards my community is what Fox News is about, and I don't talk to Fox News.
Is "Death to America" racist?
Fox News.
Is chanting "Death to America" racist?
Talking about your guys' racist tropes. You know, you guys know exactly what you do. I know you're Islamophobic, but you guys got to go deal with it on your own self. You're not going to use me.
And if we can't speak to each other, if we can't ask questions, if we have congresswomen actually saying, don't talk to y'all because y'all are racist, right? That's what they love to do. They love to throw that trope. If they lose an argument, or they just don't want to talk because they know that if they do, they'll get hit with facts and logic, that their whole worldview will completely shatter. It'll shatter the corporate press's narrative, the mainstream narrative machine's narrative that they're running. They know that will absolutely shatter, so they don't even want to talk to us. But we can't move forward as a country, right? You got so-called progressives trying to push this country in a certain direction, and yet they don't want to work out those ideas whatsoever. They don't want to explain their positions. They don't want to talk to regular people like me or like you. They just want to call us racist and bigots for questioning their narrative when they say stuff like, we want gender-affirming care. Well, what do you mean by that? Shut up, you bigot. You're a bigot. You're a racist. You're MAGA, blah, 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 right? Like, no, I just want to understand what you mean by gender affirming care. What do you mean by abortion? You're like, what point? Do you mean 16 weeks? Do you mean 38 weeks? Do you mean 9 months? What do you mean? But they don't want to talk. They just want to start calling us names. And we cannot progress. We cannot move forward. We can't understand your ideas of what you want this country to be if you can't explain them to us, if you can't talk with civility, have some sort of discourse back and forth that we can discuss ideas, and maybe we can tell you why that's not a very good idea. But that's the thing. They don't want us to tell them that that's not a very good idea. They just want to push forward with their lame brain ideas and just do whatever the hell they want. And if they get any sort of pushback, that's no good. That's no good to them whatsoever. We can't have any sort of pushback. We can't have any sort of skepticism. We can't have any questions rise from this. We just have to go along with what they're saying. Otherwise, we get called bigots and they try to excise us from society. And that's just outright dumb if you ask me. But enough of that rant. Let's go ahead and get into the story right quick. Check it out. Scaramucci on Trump. U.S. must gird for when he loses in November, right? So we must prepare ourselves for when he loses in November. Well, it's not looking so good right now. If you look at all the polls, Trump is up by a good margin in the polls, right? And it's not looking good for Joe Biden. At this point, I really don't see how Joe Biden can win. However, we do have a shadow campaign, folks. We learned this after the 2020 election when Time magazine, they published the Shadow Campaign. And we learned that they had tons and tons and tons of Democrat activists going and doing a bunch of ballot harvesting. Well, if you think that they're not going to do that again, and they haven't done that since 2020 and probably before 2020, that you're lost. You're not thinking with the right mind, right? We've just now, on the Republican side, like, I don't claim to be a Republican. I'm registered as an independent because I don't want to claim either party. However, I do identify more with conservatives, Republicans than I do with the left because I don't understand those ideas because they don't explain them to us. But, I do identify more with conservatives because that's more of logic-based thought processes that can get us through situations, that'll work us through these problems with logic and facts behind us. We can push forward and we can move on all these ideas and make rational decisions about what we're going to do in this country instead of irrational decisions and just calling everybody racist and bigots. I'm not really down with that. I'm not really down with the whole name calling thing, but I don't understand that there's this narrative out there that Trump is evil, Trump is a dictator, Trump is bad for the country. But hang on, everything he says goes against that. Everything he does shows the opposite of that, right? Like we had in his presidency, we had the best economy we've ever had, right? We had the best border we've ever had. We were getting ourselves out of all these foreign wars. We were shutting all that down. His foreign policy was off the chain. I mean, for God's sakes, Trump done this.
Look at this. It's amazing. That's the demarcation line. This is the DMZ. Look at us. The smiling, the admiration, the love. And then he says, would you like to be the first American welcomed into North Korea in peacetime? And Donald Trump says, I'd love that. And then Kim Jong-un says, can I please have your autograph? And also, can I have Dennis Rodman's autograph? And can I have a pair of golden Trump tennis sneakers, please? Because I want to play basketball in them.
But let's go ahead and get into the story right quick, y'all. Former Trump White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci said the U.S. must gird for when his ex-boss loses in November. I think the country has to gird for when he loses in November, and he's going to lose in November, Scaramucci told anchor Andy Phillip during a CNN Newslight appearance Friday, a clip highlighted by Mediaite. He'll claim that the election was rigged, and he'll try to foment the same type of violence that he fomented on January 6, 2021. And there you go. Now they're trying to push this narrative that Trump was the cause of January 6th, right? Even though he said this.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
They just try to brush that off like, oh, no, he didn't mean be peaceful. When he said be peaceful, he meant be violent, right? Like, no, people, we're not buying into that anymore, right? When you have people like Ray Epps actually out here saying, yeah, we must go into the Capitol, and there's videos of people starting to chant Fed, 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 because, yeah, that's what the federal government probably wanted us to do. They wanted us to make Trump look bad, right? They wanted violence. They wanted Trump to look bad so bad. And for people to think that they would go to all these lengths to make Trump look bad and not incite violence at the Capitol on January 6th blows my freaking mind, right? Like they're going to sit here and try to put that on Trump when the federal government was doing absolutely everything they could to stop Trump, to get him out of office, right? You know, you got from even 2016, the Russia hoax put forth by Hillary Clinton, the Steele dossier and all that other stuff. We know that the federal government was involved in that, right? We know Trump was trying to get troops out of Syria. And what did the generals do? The generals lied to Donald Trump, right? So then Donald Trump says at a later point that that was very treasonous, which it is, because he's the commander-in-chief. And if he says pull our troops out of Syria, the generals need to find a way to pull our troops out of Syria. And if they lie to the commander-in-chief, what is that? What is the definition of lying to the commander-in-chief by one of your military generals? Yeah, that's called treason. You're going against your commanding officer. Right? He was trying to get us out of Afghanistan. Joe Biden screwed that all up. But these people still try to push this narrative like Trump is a dictator and Trump is so evil. Right? Like, I'm not the biggest Trump fan out there. Right? Like, I liked what he did. You know, would I rather somebody else in office? Sure. I would rather somebody else in office. But right now, with the political landscape that we have and with everything going on, I think Trump is the best candidate to get put back into office. Joe Biden is absolutely destroying this country. You know, honestly, I really don't care who gets put into office as long as it's not Joe Biden again. Trump made comments last month at an Ohio rally that seemed to imply violence were he to lose the 2024 presidential election. The remarks came when Trump at one point warned China against attempting to open up factories in Mexico to sell cars to the U.S. Right? That was the bloodbath hoax, right? Like, that was something that the corporate press, the mainstream narrative machine latched onto and tried to lie about. You know, you had people on MSNBC calling people like me idiots. Like, if you don't believe that was a call for political violence, you're an idiot. Right? Like, hang on. Let's see exactly what Trump said.
We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. They're building massive factories. A friend of mine, all he does is build car manufacturing plants. He's the biggest in the world. I mean, honestly, I joke about it. He can't walk across the street. In that way, he's like Biden.
Okay, so that he's obviously talking about the car market will be a bloodbath, right? Like, where in there can you get political violence from that clip? If you can derive political violence from that clip, let me know down in the comments section, right? Because if you get anything else out of that but a economic bloodbath, then you're attempting to push a narrative that's an outright lie, and you're attempting to lie to the American people to try to get them to believe something that is absolutely not true. The former president received over the bloodbath comment from top Democrats such as President Joe Biden and former Speaker Nancy Pelosi. It's clear this guy wants another January 6th, Biden said in a post on social platform X in response to the remark. But the American people are going to give him another resounding electoral defeat this November. Scaramucci, who has repeatedly criticized the former president more recently, labeled him as most un-American presidential nominee in U.S. history last month, right? Yeah, this is the Make America Great Again guy, right? The most un-American, right? Everything he talks about is America first. You know, like, hey, why are we sending $60 billion to Ukraine? Why are we not helping America? Apparently, that's the most un-American thing you can say, right? How about let's secure our southern border and deport criminal aliens? Right? So we can clean up our country, because there's a lot of criminals coming across that southern border. There's a lot of drugs coming across that southern border. But apparently, that's the most un-American thing you can say. See, these people are pushing a narrative that makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense whatsoever. And they expect you to buy it. And you know what? What scares me is that people are actually buying into this. Some people are 100% behind Joe Biden because they think Donald Trump is Hitler.
If that man gets in, as soon as he takes the oath, he will have generals walk down the steps of the Capitol. He will take a hammer and break the glass where the Constitution is, and he will tear it up in our faces and say, now, I'm the king of the world. You will bow down, bitches. He will punish everybody that didn't vote for him.
Let me tell y'all how I know this shit.
I know it because I know what mental illness looks like. That mania is unstoppable. See, this motherfucker is Hitler.
We have to focus on Mr. Trump being the most un-American presidential nominee in U.S. history, Scaramucci during an interview on CNN's The Source with host Caitlin Collins. And we have to go through the things that he's saying he's going to do as it relates to being the American president, right? Well, if you take that statement for what it's worth, you look at what Trump's saying, then that would mean everybody has to vote for Trump because all he's trying to do is make America great again. But for some reason, these people take that and just totally flip it around and run with it with in the other direction. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what are you trying to sell me here? You're making contradictory statements and you expect me to buy into it, right? Like, no, I'm going to be skeptical of what you're saying when you're sitting there trying to say that Donald Trump promoted violence on January 6th when he obviously didn't. Donald Trump is the most un-American president or presidential nominee that we've ever had when he obviously isn't. I mean, he's running on a America First agenda, right? Which means putting the American interests first before everything else. But apparently to these people, that means the opposite. If you don't support sending billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine and to Israel and to all these other places, and if you don't support the country being flooded with criminal aliens, apparently that is un-American for some reason. If you don't support globalism, I guess. That's all I can derive from that, because anything else doesn't make any sense. And I don't understand how these people can sit there and try to push this narrative and think that people are just going to buy it, right? Like, it blows my mind that some people actually buy into it. But that's all I got for this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section, because like I said, it's crazy that these people are actually trying to push this narrative. And it's obviously fake to me. But that's all I got. I want to thank everybody for watching. I sure do appreciate it, you guys. And y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.